Auntie, reverse lah, auntie. What you waiting for? No people behind you already. Ayo, why you go ahead again? Reverse lah. What lame like that? How long I have to wait for you? Oh, reverse, 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 just reverse. Well, Piang, you driving Lexus RX 300, you don't know how to reverse, man. I do reverse lah. Still have to wait for you. The whole kampong waiting for you already. You see the long queue there? Reverse. Reverse. What you scared for? What? The parking so big, you see?
Reverse. Reverse, 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 reverse. So I'm going to start saying from now on when I tell you to rewind. Reverse. Reverse, 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 reverse. Auntie. All right. Well, hope you had a good weekend. Welcome back. My Oklahoma Sooners lost, so I'd appreciate you not bringing that up to me. Let's see here. If you haven't turned in the daily activities from last week on Friday, or if you were absent, make sure you do that. A lot of you have failed to hand those in. I'm not quite sure why. The dates are on the whiteboard, but if you need them, they are 10/22 through 10/26. So if they're on several pieces of paper, staple them together and hand them in. Let's see. For the daily activity today, your learning target is going to be what are freeholders from lesson 2 on page 6, and the title, what you did over the weekend, and the summary will be what you did over the weekend. Just make sure it's 3 complete sentences. 3. You should have finished lesson 1. If you haven't done so, when you're done with the daily activity, go ahead and get back to where you were. But you need to hustle it up because you're falling behind. We are moving on with lesson 2, which is on page 6. And so if you would, go ahead and get out your packet and make sure you annotate as I read. You guys have been doing a real good job with that, so continue doing that. So Roman numeral 1, economic expansion. The Crusades accelerated the transformation of Western Europe from a society that was crude, backward, and violent, showing little technological advancement, into a civilization that began to take on the characteristics of their own. So basically, we're talking about the Middle Ages, and we're talking about economic and cultural revival. Well, the Crusades, which were basically people trying to convert others into Christianity, it's really going to cause society to begin to take on characteristics that we would see today. Letter B. The economy of Western Europe began to show vigor around 1000 AD with increased agricultural production, trade opportunities, and growth of new towns. The revival of towns caused a rapid expansion of trade. What's most relative to you today that was going on then would be like Grand Island. So a couple things I want you to do before you move on. One, define the word vigor, V-I-G-O-R there. And also, when you're done with that, down below letter B here, I want you to write down in 2 complete sentences how Grand Island has expanded in the last year. So think about that. Once you're done, let's go ahead and move on to letter C. Agricultural advances included. So, how did they advance? What kind of things technologically began to, what kind of things really began to improve? One was the heavy plow. This allowed peasants to cut deeper, to turn over more nutrient-rich soil. It also allowed nobles and freeholders, which is our learning target, peasants not bound to the land, to place new land under production. This caused people to migrate to other parts of Europe. So, talking about how were towns affected by medieval Europe? Well, one was the heavy plow, and because of the heavy plow, they were able to grow things quicker and more efficient, and also it caused people to migrate to other parts of Europe. So, letter B. At the same time, the ox yoke was replaced by the collar harness. The harness didn't choke horses like the ox yoke did. It took the pressure off of their necks and placed the burden on their shoulders. Horses could now pull the plows. They did it much faster than the ox, allowing more crops to be planted. So here's a couple advancements that they made agriculturally in the medieval times. A few things there for letter A and B for the heavy plow and for the collar harness. I would like for you to Google what those would have looked like. And then off to the side, I want you just to draw a picture of them. So draw the heavy plow here, and then draw the collar harness right here. So you get that done, great. Moving on, the three-field system is another advancement that they made agriculturally. They used to just have a two-field system, which would allow them not to be able to use 50% of their land. So by moving it to the three-field system, they actually were able to use 66% of their land and only have 33% go unused at one time. So the three-field system maintained the fertility of fields, actually allowing the workers to plant less land but produce more food. What I want you to do with that is illustrate this at the top with an explanation. So up here at the top, kind of look up what the three-field system was, illustrate it with a picture, and then put it in your own words why it was an advancement from the two-field system. All right, make sure you get those done. Make sure you're pausing them. If you have any questions, rewind, Auntie. Just rewind and figure out what you need to do. So, as these inventions took hold across Europe, the threat of famine eased, the population naturally increased. The growth of towns was the inevitable result. So, because of these inventions, because of this expansion, it was inevitable that towns were going to become much larger. Population was going to increase. Down below that, right here, I want you to explain how these inventions helped with hunger. So, the heavy plow, the three-field system, the collar harness, all of those things. How did those things help with helping the issue of hunger? Just a sentence or so. All right. Roman numeral 1 here, uppercase D on page 6. Traditionally, the merchants of Europe used the barter system, exchanging goods for goods. As trade increased with the merchants of the Middle East, the barter economy became impractical, forcing the need for a common medium of exchange. Off to the side, thinking of the barter system. So basically, barter system was there was no currency, no money. You just, you grew wheat, but you needed corn. You went down the street to Jimbo and said, hey, listen, I have some wheat. Would you trade it for some corn? And so he needed wheat, obviously, and so they would just trade, and that's the barter system. Off to the side, do you think that we could actually survive today with only a barter system, no currency? Make sure you use a sentence or two there as well. So what happened after the barter system? That is the rise of a money economy, which is an economy based on medium of exchange rather than the barter system. And it had far-reaching consequences. Well, what kind of consequences did it have? Initially, it led to the growth of banking. Traders coming from different countries held different currencies that needed to be exchanged. Money changers, often Jews or Italians, would determine the value of a currency and exchange it for another. They also transferred funds and offered loans, thus becoming the first bankers in Europe. So those were some of the consequences of the money economy during the medieval times, during the Middle Ages. What I'd like for you to do next to letter B there, the small b, I want you to look up what the currency of a peso is in relationship to a dollar, and answer the question. If you went to Mexico with $10 right now, how many pesos would they give you? Arriba! Ay, ay, ay! All right, letter F. Make sure you're pausing this every time and completing the assignment or the task so you don't forget. All right, letter F. As the money economy grew, it put the feudal classes in an economic squeeze. Kings, clergy, and nobles became dependent on money from banks to pay their expenses. And to pay off their loans, they had to raise taxes, sell their lands, or demand money in place of traditional feudal services. As serfs became able to buy their freedom, the feudal system declined. A couple things I want you to do. I want you to define what a serf is again. I know you've done it already, but redundancy is a key to education. And also define the feudal system. After you have defined both those terms, I want you to, at the bottom, here, at the bottom, I want you to explain how the money economy brought a decline to the feudal system. Okay. Think that is going to be it for this video. Don't forget to go back and rewind, reverse, Santi, rewind if you need to, and get all those things accomplished. And then once you're done with that, you can move on to Economic and Cultural Revival, Video 2. Holla!